Hey everybody, it's Gail, and this is Hazel. She's haunted. Uh, Hazel comes to us from a 1942 British magazine, and that makes her a wartime toy. The issue it came from was a winter issue, so likely she was meant to be a Christmas gift. And that's based on the fact that she takes a lot of yarn for a 1940s toy that is thinking about things like make, do, and mend and wartime thrift and that sort of thing. So a couple of things that are different between Hazel and the pattern photo that I want to really bring attention to. First of all, she is larger than the pattern doll. The pattern doll is supposed to be, I think, 18 inches, and Hazel here is 24. And that's because I went up to worsted weight yarn. I knew she was going to be bigger, and I was fine with that. The original yarn is DK weight. I just didn't have a bunch of DK weights in different colors, and we were trying to move. So I wasn't going to order a bunch of yarn to get a bunch of new colors. And then the other thing is that you will notice Hazel's hat is different, and Hazel's sleeves are very large. And both of these I believe to be pattern mistakes. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricksy because I could not find an original copy of the pattern. I couldn't find a scan of the magazine, or couldn't find the pattern for sale elsewhere that's just a scan of the pattern itself. The pattern I have has been rewritten by a group of people who say that they made the doll to test out the pattern and to make sure that they had the right amount of yarn and they were using the right weight of yarn and using the right hooks for the yarn. And that's all fantastic. That's a lot of work and I really appreciate it. But I think there was a small failure in the editing process where they used the original pattern to make the doll, say, yes, this is how you make the doll. And then when they were typing it up, there were mistakes they didn't catch. It happens to all of us. But I want you to be aware of that in case you want to make your own haunted doll, because everything except for the bonnet and the sleeves fits perfectly. Everything shapes up exactly like it's supposed to because I followed the same pattern just with a larger yarn. And so that's why I'm saying this and this are not correct. And I have those notes for you, which I'll get to you in a second. So first of all, to make Hazel, she's all one piece from the neck down. You work from the neck down, and then you add the legs, and you add the arms, and then she does have little bloomers, which I think are adorable. And so you make all of those pieces, and then the boots come in. I didn't do the detailing that's on all the boots and stuff because, again, we were in the midst of moving, and I'm not going to sit there and do tiny pom-poms to put on boots when I'm trying to get all this shit out of my house. Or honestly, ever, probably. Sorry, girl. And then the blouse is its own piece, and the skirt is its own piece. And this skirt is really cute. It's made all in one piece, including the little cross straps, which I really like. And she gets these little mittens as well. The mittens were super fun to make. And this is a fun pattern because it's a lot of little tricks. So, for example, look at her little hand. And this is done by decreasing way down and then increasing just a little bit to get that edge of the hand. Her feet and her boots are made the same way. Let me get your boot off there, baby. So you make the leg. You start the leg way up here. You work it all the way down. And then to do the top of the foot, you actually work a series of chain stitches that after you finish the rest of the foot, you sew the top of it closed. And that gives you the foot shape. And I thought that was really cool. The boots are made the same way. You can see that top seam, I think. My seams are never great with stuff like this, but that's okay. Nobody else notices. And so there's a lot of cute little tricks and bits in here. Her little arms stick out like this because you work single crochets on the underarms where it pulls it in and up, so she looks very tough, which I really like. And she is just, in general, a total cutie. The reason I say she's haunted is because there is a melancholy to 1940s toys that I'm sure has something to do with World War II. And so they just always look like they're ready to haunt me. And I mean, I think it's also just that horror movies love a good old doll to be the creepy thing, and isn't she great? Now, they had instructions for the eyes to use felt. Um, I just went ahead and made her eyes with yarn, and then for the eyebrows and her lips, I just used markers. And her hair, I used up the last of a skein of black yarn to give her as much hair as I could, so she's a little thin on top. But you know, it's a good look. I wouldn't mind coming in one more row here, but you know, that's just her hairline. You're a good, pretty girl. So by the way, when you work from the neck down to make the arms and the legs and everything, you then come and do the neck and the head in one piece, and then you don't actually like finish the head as tightly as I would have expected. It's pretty open at the top when you pull it tight, but I mean, she's here, she works, it's the right size. That was a really interesting part for me. The other interesting part is that she is done completely in double crochet, which is, of course, is called treble in the pattern because it's British. And I didn't think I would be able to stuff her and be happy with how it looked. I'm very, very picky about stuffing showing through on my stuff. That is 100% a pet peeve of mine. Like, I don't judge other people's stuffing efforts. Like, you do you. But honestly, like, she's good in stuff. She's firm, she's squishy, and it's not showing through in all the places. So that's really fun. So I want to talk really quick about the mistakes in the pattern. There are two that I found, and I feel very confident in calling them mistakes. Again, if you find the original pattern, they may not be in there. But I do want to bring them out because most likely you will use the same pattern that I did that I will be linking to because, like I said, I can't find another version of the pattern to try it against. So first of all, on the sleeves, and I'll have the relevant piece of information popping up here, there is a repeat that in order to give the sleeve the shape it is in the pattern photo, skip that repeat. Make it a round of work even. Don't increase at all. And then on the hat, this is the one that like I clearly had a big problem with because if you look at the hat in the pattern photo and then compare it to what I've done, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work. It's not the same. And the reason for that is because it's supposed to be, this is all supposed to go on the back of Hazel's head, and I could not find, there's no way to wear it that looks like what it looks like in the pattern photo, which is why I turned it basically into a bandana. And so there is a point in that part of the pattern where it says it's next 4 rows, you're going to work an increase every 10 stitches. I don't know if you should work even or if it's do these increases once and then work 3 rows even. The fact that there are increases involved makes me think it's probably work a set of increases and then work 3 rows even. But, you know, you might have to test that out for yourself. And then the other thing is in the pattern, it gives you the amount of yarn you need by ounces. And on the dark green, they say you need 1 ounce. And this, funnily enough, the dark green is what I used on the skirt and the little bloomers and all of that. And while expecting I would use more yarn than it said, because again, worsted weight versus DK weight, I ended up using, it was almost, it was between 4 and 6 ounces of the color. And that doesn't make any sense when I believe the white parts here, which I believe are red in the original pattern, they called for 1 ounce. That worked out fine. And so if this was also supposed to be 1 ounce, it's not. It's I think you need 2 ounces of the what is labeled as dark green in the pattern as opposed to the 1 ounce it says. And I will have these up on my errata page. Of course, I'll probably also be mentioning there about the fact that it's a reconstruction of a pattern as opposed to like an original scan or something. And I don't think any of it makes them insurmountable to work on. I think it's very fun. It is a lot of pieces, and that is something that can be very annoying because you need the little mittens, you need the hat, you need the boots, you need the bloomers. There's a tie that goes around the neck here. So, you know what you can put up with in terms of a bunch of little small pieces you need to make to finish a project. I got through all of these little small pieces because I was determined to. And I was probably trying not to pack anything because I didn't want to on that particular day that I was going hard. So, different motivations. Yeah, so I think that's really it. Hazel and the Corn Man, who I showed in a previous video, have a little space in the dining room so that they can oversee the house and scream their needs at us. They scream them directly into our brains, so it doesn't bother the neighbors. And yeah, I really did have a good time with it. It was a lot of fun, and it's a sturdy little doll. And I'm going to go and get her bonnet back on and get them both back down to the high chair where they're supposed to be, because they've been waiting to get filmed for like 4 days. But yeah, I think that's it. I will link to the pattern, which I believe is still on Etsy. If I can't find it on Etsy or elsewhere, I will just link it from my website because it's out of print. So free game to post for free. And yeah, I think that's the whole thing. If you enjoy what I do here, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, all of that fun stuff. And we'll see you when we see you.